Hello everyone, back tuning into today's third video. So we've already released some summer analogues today here at GazzoViz, and the analogues this week are focusing on summers and ENSO, so sort of summers that either are ENSO neutral following a La Nina event, or summers that continue to be La Nina from the La Nina event from the start of the year, if you see what I mean. And we also have a little bit more on summers that follow cool marches. So do have a look at that video. It's on the homepage at the moment, and it will be placed on the summer updates and forecast page for you later on today with a written summary. As well as that, with release of GazzoViz Sunday Roundup as well. That video is also on the homepage right now. So when you're finished with this video, please head off to the homepage and have a look at those videos. So this video is a new feature that we're going to try and do every month at GazzoViz for the next few months, and we're looking at the long-range seasonal models from the ECMWF and Meteo France organisations, meteorological agencies. So these long-range models, until late last year, they were very highly classified, exclusive sort of long-range model output. They were not widely available to the general public at all. The only way you could really access them was either if you was a pro Met, or if you was willing to pay vast amounts of money to have a look at these long-range models, particularly the ECMWF. At the end of last year, the European Union set up the Copernicus website, and it's a climate change service website primarily, but they are also now giving free access to these formerly very exclusive long-range seasonal models. And I talked about this a little bit at the end of last year, but I haven't really been able to bring you an update for these long-range models for a while. We have been trying to feature them in the seasonal model roundups that we do once a month. But I did say last year that when with these models going free to view now, that I would try to do an update once a month focusing on these long-range seasonal models from the ECM and Meteo France. But I haven't been able to do it until this month. I thought this month we would have a quick look. So we're going to cover the full summer period. They are broken down into tri-monthly periods. So we begin with a tri-monthly period for May, June, July, and then we go to June, July, August, and then we finish with July, August, September in sort of tri-monthly periods like that. So I'll talk you through what both the ECM and the Meteo France seasonal models are showing very shortly. I'm actually on the Copernicus website right now. This is the homepage of climate.copernicus.eu. You can find the link to the Copernicus website on the links page here at GazzoViz, as well as this seasonal stuff. They also do, they also have lots and lots of information as well. So do have a look at the Copernicus website if you get the chance. They also feature the UK Met Office model, but I'm not going to have that in today's video. I want to focus on the ECM and the Meteo France output. Bear in mind, this will all feature in the seasonal model roundup for the summer of 2018 that we're going to issue. I think it'll be next weekend, probably on Saturday. So we'll begin by having a look at the ECMWF mean sea level pressure anomalies for the next few months. We're beginning here with the mean sea level pressure anomaly from the ECMWF long-range seasonal model for May, June and July as well. So these, this just here depicts the tri-monthly period that we are looking at, and then over here it says mean MSLP, which is mean sea level pressure anomaly. So that's the way you know what charts you are looking at. So beginning for May, June and July, early summer looks like this. Bear in mind that it's same with all pressure anomalies, or most pressure anomaly maps. In that the brighter colours, yellow, oranges and reds, will be extrapolating to some kind of high pressure or above average heights if you're looking at a geopotential height anomaly, and blues are going to be extrapolating to below average heights or pressure, therefore to low pressure. So the mean sea level pressure anomaly from the ECMWF seasonal model for May, June and July looks like this. We have an area of above average pressure down to our south, and then very little else to work on. So we've got some high pressure through the central Atlantic, and then we're probably bringing the jet stream through the country rather like that. So although there's not a huge amount to work on, I suspect that is a relatively unsettled pattern from May, June and July. Now we go through to the actual summer mean sea level pressure anomaly, which is June, July, August, and this is how it's looking, with above average heights or above average pressure, as it means sea level pressure, to our south across central parts of Europe. And then again, very weak signals, not a lot else to work on. The jet stream is coming through the country rather like that. So again, I suspect southern areas will have the driest weather to average, but all areas could be a little bit changeable. It does look like it will be a westerly based sort of pattern. And then we go through to July, August, September, and this tri-monthly mean sea level pressure anomaly looks like that. And it looks quite weak. Again, very little to work on. We've got above average heights centering over towards eastern parts of Europe. Then very little else to talk about. The only thing I'd say is that with above average heights or above average pressure going over to Eastern Europe, you would tend to expect, it doesn't show it, but you'll probably expect an anomalous trough to be setting up in the west, because one of the ways that nature balances itself out is that if one part of Europe has one distinct pressure anomaly, another area will have the opposite. So if high pressure is in the east of Europe, you will probably expect Western Europe to have lower pressure. So quite inconclusive in terms of the mean sea level pressure anomalies from the ECMWF seasonal model. But maybe we can get a little bit more of a clear idea by looking at the 500 millibar height anomalies. So again, we're coming back to May, June and July. This is how the ECMWF long-range model is looking for May, June and July in terms of the 500 millibar geopotential height anomaly. And this one does depict things a bit clearer. We can see that we've got the above average heights. Actually, although there's a wide area of yellow, the above average heights are actually more centred through the middle part of the Atlantic. So it looks like we've probably got a bit of a mid-Atlantic ridge going on there, which again, I'm not sure it's all that good news for us really, because we probably will be expecting to align the jet stream a little bit northwest southeast, and there is a possibility that there could be some sort of area of below average heights within that dip in the jet stream as well. So again, we are sort of finding this a little bit difficult to interpret, but I think it's a largely Atlantic-based and probably quite cool and unsettled early summer period. What about the summer itself? So this is how it's looking, and we go through to the 500 millibar height anomaly for June, July and August, but full summer of 2018. And the above average heights look like they're transferring more towards sort of central parts of Europe. So that would probably start to shift the jet stream a bit further northwards. It should be going a bit warmer there, I would have thought. And for the south, that could be quite pleasant as well. So maybe quite a pleasant summer. I wouldn't necessarily be saying it's particularly hot summer at all, because the high pressure is centred to our south-southwest, so it means that overall we are still bringing the flow in off the Atlantic. And Atlantic flow in the summer is not going to be overly hot, but I suspect it's a reasonably pleasant type anomaly that for the summer. And then let's go through to late summer, taking us to July, August, September. And then this looks a little bit at odds with what the mean sea level pressure anomaly was showing. So what happens here is that, again, we do have the orange colours centred across central and eastern parts of Europe, so that's in line. But we also have this area of yellow here that's across the west of Europe, and I would expect actually that if heights are high over in the east of Europe, I would expect that in the west of Europe we should be having lower pressure in this area. So I would expect that to be more towards blue colours, if anything. So it does get a little bit confusing as we go through to late summer. But I think for early and middle part of summer, or early and main summer, let's say, it's looking rather changeable to begin with, and then maybe, certainly for the south, hinting at something a little bit more settled coming along. So now I'll have a look at the temperature anomalies for these tri-monthly periods. So this is how the ECMWF mean temperature anomaly is looking for May, June and July. So for early summer, we're looking at relatively cool temperature anomalies in the northwest of Europe. You'll see that we have got these pale blue colours here in the northwest of Europe. The warmth looks like it's down in the southeast of Europe, which is a traditional sort of setup. Northwest often of Europe often deviates from the southeast. So if it's warm in the southeast of Europe, it will often be cool in the northwest of Europe. And then vice versa, if it's warm in the northwest of Europe, it will often be cool in the southeast. Bear in mind these are anomalies to average, so if it was to be cool in the southeast of Europe in the summer, it's still going to be hot. You're still going to have hot weather in Greece and Turkey. It just will be less hot than you would probably expect. So anyway, the early summer from the ECMWF model looks like it's rather cool in the northwest of Europe, but rather warm in the southeast of Europe. What about the actual summer itself? So we go through to the temperature anomaly for July, or June, July and August for summer of 2018. Overall, still looking relatively warm across southern parts of Europe. Central and northern areas, it's more inconclusive, closer to average. Obviously, we have lost a little bit that cold anomaly that we had in the northwest of Europe for May, June and July. So it looks like it's warming a little bit to average, but we're only talking about close to average temperatures there. Certainly no sign of anything all that hot away from southern Europe. So when southern Europe gets hot or hotter than average, it's usually because you've got low pressure up here in the summer and the jet stream is coming through there. And so when the jet stream goes through in that sort of pattern, it tends to keep all of the heat bottled up down here. So I think it still is indicating quite a westerly summer, this, which means that for the north and west of Europe, it's going to be close to average. Pleasant days, yes, but never overly hot, and the heat tending to be bottled up through the Mediterranean on the southern side of the Alps. And then finally, we go through to the final tri-monthly period, which takes us through to, so that's not clicked through, so that's gone through now. So we go through to July, August and September with the temperature anomalies. And then the warmer than average temperatures are expanding really across many parts of Europe. It is becoming warmer later in the summer. So maybe this is implying that as we get through towards late summer, we possibly start to turn things quite a bit warmer, particularly across central parts of Europe. Still not overly exciting with the temperature anomalies for the UK and for Scandinavia as well. Then I'll look at precipitation. So this is how precipitation is looking through these tri-monthly periods. Again, this is the ECMWF seasonal model. We'll move on to Meteo France in a moment. This is the mean precipitation anomaly for May, June and July. Early summer looks like that. Bear in mind, with these long-range models, precipitation is often very, very weak. There's often not huge amount to talk about. So, and we see this depicted quite clearly here, with very little deviation from climatology, except down across southern parts of Europe. Early summer is looking a little bit drier there and maybe a little bit wetter up towards Scandinavia, but otherwise not a huge amount to work on. And then we go through to June, July and August. So we go through to the actual summer of 2018. It looks drier than average with precipitation anomalies through many of these central and southern parts of Europe. Again, further north, not a huge amount to work on, a little bit wetter than average close to Scandinavia. Otherwise, probably you would say most parts of Europe are close to average, or either there's no signal beyond climatology. And then we go through finally for the ECMWF part of this update to the mean precipitation anomaly for July, August, September. Again, very little to work on. So obviously the signals for precipitation looking really weak indeed. No signal in particular away from southern Europe in the early part of the summer, where it does look reasonably dry. Very little to go on in terms of precipitation. Now we'll move on to Meteo France. So we're going to do it all over again. This time we're looking at the Meteo France long-range seasonal model. So again, we come back to May, June and July. This is the mean sea level pressure anomaly from Meteo France for the early summer. We have below average pressure, low pressure, generally close to the UK, particularly to the north and to the northeast, otherwise close to average. We move on to the mean sea level pressure anomaly for the summer of 2018, and when the page refreshes, there it is, we go through to June, July and August. Again, it all looks rather westerly. The low pressure, these blue colours, are deeper to our north than what we see on the ECMWF model. So the signal, if anything, it is a bit stronger. There's less signs of a ridge as well through the Atlantic and into Europe. But I think overall still the idea is there. It's relatively westerly as we're going into the summer with low pressure to our north. And then we go through to the mean sea level pressure anomaly for July, August and September. And then late summer, again, the signal's becoming very, very weak. Very little to work on there as we're going into the latter part of the summer. These are the 500 millibar height anomalies, so that was mean sea level pressure. These are 500 millibar geopotential heights. Again, the 500 millibar height anomaly for May, June and July looks like that deep area below average heights to our north, particularly towards Scandinavia. So looks like there's a trough within the 500 millibar flow there across Scandinavia. So again, I think we'll probably be lining the jet stream up northwest to southeast, looking relatively cool and probably quite unsettled through the early part of the summer with Meteo France. Heading on into the actual summer itself, June, July and August looks like that, with the 500 millibar height anomaly unsettled, below average heights, generally to the north, and again, less indications of ridging to the south of the country. So I think Meteo France is a little bit more unsettled, if anything, compared to the ECMWF model. Again, bringing the jet stream through rather like that. So rather cool, rather unsettled, I would think, is the signal. But then quite a big change as we go through to late summer. We lose all of those blue colours to the north and to the northeast, and we start to set up above average heights to our south for the July, August and September period. So quite a big change. I think, are shifting there from that very unsettled start to the summer to possibly something quite a bit drier and possibly warmer as we go through to the late summer. That's at odds with last year. You remember last year we started off quite unsettled, quite settled, I should say, and warm in the early summer, and then we progressed to rather unsettled conditions, cool conditions in the late summer. It's a bit of a flip around on that. Let's have a look at the temperature anomalies from the Meteo France long-range model. This is how it's looking for May, June and July, and quite clearly we've got a colder than average signal here across virtually all parts of Europe, but particularly in the north of Europe. A very, very cool temperature anomaly there, with many parts of northern and northwest Europe coming out with temperature anomalies of 2 degrees or possibly even more than 2 degrees below average. So a really cool start to the summer being depicted there from Meteo France for May, June and July tri-monthly periods. Bear in mind these are tri-monthly periods, so you might get something like May and June are very cool, and then July turns hot, or some other variation of that idea. So these are the anomalies over a 3-monthly period, but it doesn't rule out that you might get 1 month that deviates. That's how the temperature anomaly looks for the summer itself. The summer of 2018 is coming out as a very cool one for the UK and for Ireland, for much of Northern and Western Europe actually, coming out cooler than average, particularly so across Scandinavia. Otherwise, most parts of Europe are coming out with no signal or climatology. Down in the southeast, again, a little bit of a hint, but it's warmer down there. And then finally, we go through to the temperature anomaly for July, August, September. And look at that, suddenly all of this yellow and orange starts to appear, particularly centred across southern parts of Europe, where it's obviously turning a lot warmer down across southern Europe in the latter part of the summer. The northwest, including the British Isles and Islands, still hinting at being a bit on the cool side, but not as cool as it is through that early part of summer, which really is strikingly colder than average for much of northern and Western Europe in the early summer period. And then finally we go through to precipitation from Meteo France. So this is how the mean precipitation anomaly looks for May, June and July. Early summer comes out drier than average across southern parts of Europe, but wetter than average, or hints at being a bit wetter than average anyway, in the northwest Europe. As I say, do bear in mind precipitation anomalies with these long-range models are always weaker than everything else. So the temperature anomalies, the height anomalies, and mean sea level pressure anomalies will usually have relatively clear signals, but the precipitation anomalies are often very weak. So the northwest of Europe comes out with a wetter than average, or hints at a wetter than average anomaly through early summer, whereas the southern part of Europe hints at being drier than average. So probably a cool, wet early summer being indicated here. Then we go through to the summer itself. The anomaly for June, July and August looks like that. Overall hinting at a bit drier than average actually for many western parts of Europe, so clearly we're shifting towards a drier type pattern then as we're getting into the main part of the summer compared to where we are in the early summer period. And then last but not least, we have the precipitation anomaly for late summer. This takes us through to July, August and September. Looks like that. So again, quite weak signals, but overall many parts of Europe coming out relatively dry. You'll notice it is a bit wetter up in the far north of Europe. So not really clear-cut signals for precipitation, but nothing desperately wet, except maybe in the early part of summer it does look a little bit wetter. But both of these models tending to hint at near normal, or maybe a little bit on the drier side for this summer actually. Temperatures are looking a little bit disappointing through most of the summer. There are maybe hints here about it might get a bit warmer later in the summer. So warmer later is perhaps the idea from these two models for the summer. And then in terms of the actual pattern, I think really we're hinting at quite a westerly type summer. So it implies that it probably won't be overly wet, especially in the south. There should be some influence from the Azores high, but always probably keeping that jet stream going from the west to east or northwest to southeast direction. And so that's why the temperatures are relatively cool for northern and western Europe, with the heat being indicated to be down in the south and the southeast of Europe. Right, so that's brought you up to date with the long-range Meteo France and ECMWF seasonal models. Different video compared to what we've done before. So if you enjoy the video, do let me know through the comments, or click like on the video, and that way you'll let me know if you want to see more of these videos focusing on the ECM and Meteo France seasonal models at the Copernicus website. Don't forget to check out the study roundup and also the summer analogues video. They're both on the homepage right now. That summer analogues video will be placed on the summer updates and forecast page later on today with a written report that will sum up everything that we discuss in the video. But that's all for now, and thanks for watching.